Hey guys, I'm Steve Slater. I'm here at Rogue Fitness today, and I'm going to walk you through the basics of the strongman log lift. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the log is placed properly. You want to make sure that it's elevated off the floor somewhat. I like to use bumper plates. You can use pads underneath it if you want, just as long as it's elevated slightly. One of the reasons for that is I like to have my feet placed underneath the log. So you need plenty of space for your feet. And then what I also do, as far as taking the hand position, the front part of the handle is angled down somewhat, maybe a 45-degree angle. And so prior to picking the log up, position the log like that. Another thing, when it comes to foot placement, I like to have my feet a little bit wider than shoulder width and my toes pointed out slightly. So once you get that log into the position, you get it elevated slightly, the handles are turned forward some, then it's time to lift the log, put it on the lap. So we're going from ground to lap, and then from ground to lap, we're going to go from lap to rack, and then from the rack position, we're going to go rack overhead. Let me just break this down a little bit. Once you lift the log, position it on your lower quadriceps. The elbows are out high, or out to the side like this, up high, pointed in the air. When I clean this log and get it in the rack position, my elbows are going to be pointed forward, and then my upper arms are going to be acting like a shelf bracket. Remember, this is not a typical barbell clean. This is more like you're rolling a log up your body. You want to have proper leverage by keeping your elbows high. Make sure that log's clamped right into your chest, and then I'm going to drive my hips forward, throw my head back, roll the log up, and then position my upper arms properly so they become a shelf bracket so I can press the log overhead. Once you get that log in the rack position, then you have several different options as far as how to get it overhead with your press. But make sure if you're going to do, let's say if you're going to do a push press, you want to make sure your feet are a little bit wider than shoulder width stance and have your toes pointed out slightly so your knees will follow in that direction, and that'll allow you to drop down more in a straight position and then push up and be able to lock out. Now if your feet are pointed straight like this and your knees come forward, naturally the log is going to drop down and it's going to roll forward. So you want to open up like this, dip and drive. So that would be a push press. You can do a strict press too if you'd like. Here, lean back slightly and then push through and you're bone on bone. And then from there you can do your typical split jerk. If you want to do that, you can do that. So that's the basics for the strongman log lift. So some key points to remember: position the log properly, position your feet properly when you clean it, and get it in the rack position, elbows forward, lats flared, and then dip and drive with your knees going out, drive overhead, and make sure everything's stacked on top of each other with your head through, and then return to the ground. If you have any questions, just email team@roguefitness.com.